Mackenzie critiques and Mackenzie bigs up your favorite anime. Welcome to a review of Berserk episode 3. Now, where do I begin? I do not even know where to flip and begin with this episode. Now, it wasn't bad per se, but it was terribly inconsistent. I'm sure most of you agree that it was horribly inconsistent. Now, let me start from the beginning, man. That's the best way to begin all things. Is obviously he kidnapped Guts kidnapped Fenice, and if you realize in this episode that Serpico's on, chasing them to try and get Fenice back, and those demons that you saw at the end of the last episode are all following, Guts because of his mark, and and you've seen that. For those of you who are familiar with the thing, you know that the demons follow him and try to get in his head and all that kind of stuff. So basically, this episode, I don't know whether this is filler. Someone please clarify for me if this episode was filler to an extent, because I don't know what was going on. They decided to take a pit stop somewhere, but it ties into the fact that Guts was after one of the apostles that he's basically trying to track down and kill. But this one, I'm not sure if it fits into the story. But they took a pit stop in some abandoned estate of a count from the Midlands somewhere, and it was all barren and dark, and it was all gloomy and that kind of thing. And it turns out that no one was there at all, so they took a pit stop there. Fenice didn't seem to know what was going on, and you know how last week I said they're trying to shy away from the nudity. You know how I said that, yeah? Blow it out of the fucking water. They decided that this episode was going to be an excuse for Fenice to go basically running around naked throughout the entire flipping episode, and just run around naked, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. What I do find interesting is obviously with Fenice's character, she's very loyal, she's very devout, loyal to God. But at the end of the last episode, she was self-flagellating because she basically got wet after scratching up him, and this basically takes that thread and kind of extrapolates it further to the point where when they discover that there is a keeper of the hounds, basically a guy that looks after the dogs in the count's estate, and he's the only one there, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? And those hounds attacked them outside before they got inside, and it turns out that that guy is one of the apostles, the demon apostles, and Fenice witnessed firsthand that these creatures, these things, these demons, and he refers to them as miracles as well because they shouldn't exist. And it's interesting because she believes in God and divine power, but after witnessing all these demons and stuff, Guts quips that, how can you believe in God but not these things, at all? So this is a very much a eye-opening moment for her. But the interesting thing here is that she gets possessed by a demon. Throughout all this scuffle with that giant hound keeper who turns out to be an apostle, and you know what's the dumbest thing? And when she walks into that room, she goes, here's a horse. I'm going to use this to get away. What kind of fucking sane person thinks, where the hell did this horse come from inside the flipping manor? That was the dumbest thing. But the dumbest thing about this episode is the inconsistent animation. You got some CGI to terrible hand-drawn animation to great animation, which is fluid and all that kind of thing, back to stiff, robotic CGI, and it was so inconsistent as far as the visuals go, and it was so damn noticeable. Especially since I'm pretty sure this is a filler. And some people are calling this one of the most terrible episodes so far, and it's basically shit from Berserk. But I was glad that they did decide to make it as graphic and make it as mature and adult as I imagine in the manga and the old animes and that kind of thing. So they did kind of bring it up to a certain level. And basically, Serpico, is one of the standouts in this because, he's actually quite accomplished. Like, he is one of the alms keepers, but, he doesn't like the sight of blood. But he was able to handle those dogs really flipping well, and he was out there, fighting the good fight. But the outcome of this episode was that Fenice associates Guts with her shame and her loss of morals, loss of values, loss of her faith. And she swears, blind at the end that, he needs to go, because he is basically a manifestation of everything that she tries to keep away from, but she can't, and she was corrupted. There was also a lot of implied storytelling through brief flashbacks and vague kind of memories about the hound keeper in the house, how he used to get beaten when he was the hound keeper, and really badly, and no one cared about him. People looked down on him, but the only one who he felt saw him and acknowledged him was the daughter, I guess, the lady of the house, or the daughter of the count. I'm not sure who it was, but it's just so vague storytelling. It was just a little mini episodic sort of story, and he'd mounted her up on a painting after he cut her up. Motivations didn't make sense. You know, her reaction in that flashback didn't make sense. I mean, how could anything that she was feeling there construe, you know, liking him just because she wasn't there beating him? So it was just weird mishmash of storytelling, and honestly, man, it was a very, very, very terribly told episode. Then what we seem to get is, and this is why this episode is horribly inconsistent. This is the point where I don't know what's happening. I don't know any point past this in the manga. I don't know any point past this about what's going to happen. But we, over the credits, we seem to have something play about some town somewhere, and some Griffiths is destined. Maybe it's the Book of Revelation or something, where Griffiths, the light of the hawk, and obviously that ties into Griffiths and that sort of thing. And it's basically, I don't know what's going on. I honestly don't know what's going on. They're doing from what I've heard of, I've only seen season 1 of Tokyo Ghoul, but from what they're saying about Tokyo Ghoul Route A, where it just doesn't make sense. Stuff is cut out, mixed over, flashbacks are here or there, all that kind of thing. I don't know what's going on. They decided it's so inconsistent that we went from filler to something that seems like it might be tied into something that happens. I don't know I honestly don't know what was going on at the end there. But it all ties into the Book of Revelations and signs and people expecting a savior, but it's not really a savior. And you know, and then Griffiths ends with some Hannibal-esque. There's imagery of him, armored elephants, trying to come in. You know, to I'm guessing take advantage of the fact that the guy who basically runs that town, the king, is dying, is on his deathbed. So I'm not entirely sure what the hell was going on there, but someone clarify. But it was just a horribly inconsistent episode. I don't even want to pretend to, you know, say I understood it, but it was a horribly inconsistent episode, man. And I don't know what you guys felt about it, but let me know in the comments below, and I'll keep watching it. But they just jump cut here and there. Things don't make sense, and the biggest worry of all is actually came true. It's like they want to turn this into giant set pieces. They want to turn it into episodic, you know. I mean, you could say that, yeah, you can sort of say episodic. The adventures of Puck and Guts is what they want to turn it into. And I'm afraid of that. The last 3 episodes have been all set pieces, and one of them has been a filler, I believe. A giant fight in a forest with no real depth or nuance. Maybe the interaction between Guts and Fenice so far. First one, it started with the set piece. They've skipped over the Black Swordsman arc. They skipped over the Lost Children arc. Like, what's going on, man? What's going on? Where's this gonna go? But I'm gonna keep watching, keep reviewing it, see if it picks up, see if it sort of makes narrative sense. But I had no clue what was going on during the credits at the end there. So yeah, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Click the M button on the bottom right to subscribe. Check my description box for polls, my Twitter details, so you get up to the minute live reaction updates. Thank you for watching.